Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning on what I am sorry to say is a sad repeat day in America. Please join me in the knowing that we can be better. Welcome to Eliot Unitarian Chapel. I'm Karen Gender, and I will be serving as your liturgist this morning. I am joined by Reverend D. Evans, our affiliate minister, who will present today's message. This morning, Suzanne Lay-Lauren is here from the pastoral care team, and she is available if you have a personal concern and would like an ear. This is a liberal religious community of spiritual seekers. We welcome you all in the fullness of your age, race, ethnicity, gender expression, sexual orientation, economic circumstances, and religious background. Our faith is not lived in creeds, but in deeds. Not in the hereafter, but in the here and now. Some of our core values are justice, transformation, generosity, and above all, love. If you are visiting for the first time, either on site or online, welcome. We're glad you're here, and we hope that you feel warmly welcomed. If you're here, you may have received a guest form on your way in. Please fill it out, both sides, if you have children at home, so that we can stay in touch. You are warmly invited to coffee hour in Adams Hall after the service, which is to your right, out of the sanctuary. And if you are new or newish, please take a blue mug so that we can welcome you. For those of you watching online, there is a Zoom coffee hour at 1 o'clock with a link on our website. Whether you are here on site or watching from home, we are united as one community. Welcome to worship this morning. A flame with a chalice is a primary symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. Many of our congregations kindle a flaming chalice in gatherings and worships and feature the chalice symbol prominently. These words are by Jennifer Grayson and are titled, Drawn Together. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods, yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world. Please join me now by standing in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 18, What Wondrous Love.
Oh, my soul,
Please join me in the reading of our congregational covenant with the words printed in your order of service. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be. To listen fully to each other with an open mind and heart. To speak responsibly and respectfully. To find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. Thank you.
Will the children please remain seated where they are? Our Time for All Ages story, Fruits, is by Christopher Bussey. Once upon a time, a mother and her daughter were carrying bags of food to a neighboring village where people were hungry and had no food of their own. They had to travel a great distance, which made them tired, so they stopped to rest. As they sat down, they heard a voice call out to them. "Hello," said the voice. The two travelers looked around but saw no one. "Hello," said the voice again. "Look over here by the rock." The mother and daughter looked by the rock, and there they saw a thorn bush. The two looked at the thorn bush for a moment, and then they looked at each other. "I believe that thorn bush is talking to us," said the little girl. "I'm not a thorn bush," said the voice. "I am a beautiful apple tree. If you like, you may sit a while and admire my beauty." "If you don't mind me saying so," the little girl said, "you do not look anything like an apple tree, and you do look exactly like a thorn bush." "Silly girl," said the voice, "I am the most beautiful apple tree in all the land. Please feel free to sit and enjoy my beauty." "Are you quite sure you're an apple tree?" asked the mother. "Yes," said the voice from the thorn bush. "I am quite sure." "Then perhaps you can help us," said the mother. "You see, we are carrying food to a neighboring village where people are hungry. Since you are an apple tree, you could give us some apples to take to the people who have nothing to eat." "No," said the voice from the thorn bush. "No?" asked the mother. "Why not? These people are very hungry. They don't have any food at all. They would love to have some of your apples." "No," repeated the thorn bush. "You see, I don't have any apples right now." "Oh," the mother said, "that's too bad." After a moment, she said, "Well, we must be going." And the mother and daughter stood up and continued on the road to the village. "Come back," cried the thorn bush. "Come back and admire my beauty." But the mother and daughter did not hear the thorn bush. And the two had traveled many miles, then became very tired once again and decided it was time to stop and rest. They had not been sitting long when they heard another voice. "Hello," said the voice. The mother and daughter looked around for a while before they noticed a very small man sitting next to a rock. The man was dressed in very stylish and expensive clothes. "Don't worry," he said. "I'm not a bad man. I won't hurt you. In fact, I'm a very good man." "You're a good man?" asked the mother uncertainly. "Oh, yes," he said. "I'm a very, very good man. I read the holy book every day for hours and hours. I pray each morning when I rise and pray again in the evening before I go to bed." "Are you quite sure you're a good man?" asked the mother. "Oh, yes," he replied. "I'm quite sure." "Well, then perhaps you can help us," said the mother. "My daughter and I are carrying food to a neighboring village where people are hungry. We are very tired from walking so long. Would you please help us carry these bags to the village so that people there will have something to eat?" "No," said the man. "I'm a good man, but if I were to help you carry those bags, I might mess up my new clothes. Then I might not look as good. How would anyone know if I'm a good man if I don't look fine? Sorry, but I can't help you." "Oh," said the mother, "that's too bad." After a moment, she said, "We must be on our way," and the two picked up their bags of food and continued down the road. "No, come back," yelled the little man. "Stay with me, 'cause I'm lonely." But the mother and daughter didn't hear the little man, and they continued walking down the village road. For a while, the two walked in silence. Finally, the daughter said to her mother, "I'm confused. Today we have met a strange plant that claimed to be an apple tree, and we also saw a strange little man who claimed to be a good man. But how can we be sure? I mean, how can we tell a real apple from a fake one, or a good person from a fake one?" "Well," said the mother, "it isn't always easy to tell the difference between something that is real and something that is fake. But it seems to me if you want to call yourself an apple tree, then you should give the world some apples. And if you want to call yourself a good person, then you should give this world some loving kindness and a helping hand. After all, it is by our fruits that we are known." The children do not have RE today, but there is a playtime outside if their parents wish them to go out. And for those who are going out, please join us in our children's recessional. Our prayer meditation for today is by Shea French, which will be followed by a short time of silence. May we be generous and judicious in the help we offer. May we recognize that sometimes the kindest thing to do is not to be helpful, but to pay attention when someone says no. Please remain seated and join us in our meditative hymn, 1023.
This is a round. We're all going to sing it together one time, and then I'm going to split the church right here in the middle. This side, follow me, and this side, follow Lynn. Building bridges between all divisions.
Every month, Eliot Chapel splits our church collection with another local agency that shares our values. This month, Eliot Chapel is sharing the offering with the St. Louis Area Diaper Bank, and we are joined this morning by Jerika Franks, who will share a little bit about this very important organization.
Good morning. Good morning. Wonderful. I am Jerika Franks. I serve as the Community Engagement Manager for the St. Louis Area Diaper Bank. And with my staff and myself and our volunteers, who I've seen, I think, 2 here in the congregation, I want to thank you all for thinking of us and supporting our mission. It goes without saying that a lot of families in St. Louis and honestly across the country are really experiencing a very rough time. As we know, prices for everything are going up, and taking care of children is not a cheap task. But we serve the St. Louis community and surrounding counties as we are trying to end this thing called diaper need. Unfortunately, 1 in 2 mothers, fathers, families, guardians are struggling to afford diapers. If you ever pay attention, we're paying about 45 to 50 cents per diaper. And if you know anything about diapers, that's about $50 a box. And they go through those things rather quickly within a year. And so we're just trying to make it possible for families to have one less thing to worry about. We have to consider there's rent, utilities, transportation, daycare, and that's just going up. And we are just serving our families and helping them understand that we are here to help them, because unfortunately there is federal assistance, but they do not cover diapers. So we are helping them with one less thing so they could use that money towards other important essential resources. This year, we are fortunate with the help of our community, people who think of us like you. We are able to distribute 3.5 million diapers. So that's a beautiful thing that we are able to accomplish. And it's also amazing because through the community, we are also celebrating our 10th year being in existence. So what started off in the garage of our founder, we are now in a beautiful warehouse that splits the city and county line, and we're able to reach all of those families. We are also working on distributing period supplies. As taboo as that conversation is, unfortunately, young girls, women, individuals are also struggling to afford period supplies. And so we get very, very heartbreaking calls sometimes that the young girls, rely on the nurses and teachers to also fund these important things, which again are not covered by federal assistance. That's WIC, food stamps. And so we are doing our best, and we thank you all. A lot of people don't realize also, most of our funding is through grants and through community donations. We receive no federal funding for this. So you guys are truly a blessing, and I thank you all for thinking of us again.
The offering will now be taken, and let us be a generous community.
Our reading this morning is the poem by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth, then took the other, just as fair, and perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that passing there had worn them really about the same, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how the way leads on to way, I doubted if I would ever come back. I should be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. The two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I begin, I want to share that Pedro Schreiner's mother died last week, so please remember Petra and her family in your own way. Perhaps many of you, perhaps all of you, have experienced reading something and remembering it. Then when you go back to it, you are suddenly struck by the depths of its meaning. I had this experience on Father's Day in this very place. I was sitting in the back pews. We read the covenant as usual. It was not the first time I saw or read that covenant, but that day, the words, "We promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be," really got to me. What? Being kind is hard enough. Being kinder than I have to be, that's too much. Yeah. We live in a world where politeness has left, where bullying in schools, workplaces, and social media has become the norm, where people think being unkind and even cruel is funny. I thought about citing all the evidence for this, of citing all the things that happen on a daily basis. Then I thought better of it. I don't want to give any notoriety to those who engage in such behaviors. The press promotes all sorts of divisions among people including among generations. Social media promotes these divisions even further, with each generation expressing everything from disregard to disdain to disgust for a supposed other generation. Then there are all the political divisions and religious divisions that divide us, that promote hatred for each other. As we learned yesterday, we live in a world where a person cannot even give a public speech without being shot. In a world like this, it is hard to be kind. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I know that the covenant is speaking about what we do among each other. I get that. I know we want our congregation to be kind. I know we want to live out our values in our congregation. I know we want this place to be an example of what the world could be if we were kind. But being kinder than we have to be? That, I thought, is asking me to go down a road I do not want to take. It's asking more of me than I think I can give. Now, why would I think that? Actually, it came from what I learned as an adolescent and in biblical studies in college. Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 42 were used to exemplify kindness. Let me share those verses with you. You have heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. And if anyone forces you to go a mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to one who asks you, and do not turn away from one who wants to borrow from you. So based on these verses, kindness is to go the extra mile, to give even if you had to do without and your own safety was jeopardized. You not only lose your shirt, you lose your coat. Kindness meant you enable others to unjustly take from you. Kindness meant being a victim. Kindness meant you even allowed yourself to be physically battered. So for me, kindness was not just being nice. Nice is easy. It is being polite and courteous and making things comfortable for others. The expectations of kindness always meant sacrificing oneself. Kindness meant honoring someone else's inherent worth and dignity at the expense of one's own. So to be kinder than we have to be was not a place I wanted to go. Now, I was thinking about this as I was driving home. And then I remembered that the Buddhists have a concept of loving kindness. I wondered what that meant. And I decided to take a deep dive into kindness from another perspective. In Buddhism, the values of compassion and loving kindness are closely related. I am well acquainted with the concept of compassion. Compassion is our response to the suffering of others. We want to stop the suffering and support people toward their well-being. It is based upon the interdependence of all beings. Now, if you look at Article 2, which has been revised and is now a part of our Unitarian Universalist Constitution, this same idea is expressed from a UU perspective. The value of interdependence says we honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect the earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality, and justice. we will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. So the concept of compassion in Buddhism and the Unitarian Universalist value of interdependence realize that we are interconnected as human beings and as part of the earth, as part of all other beings. So we want to work to have relationships that are healthy and to work to repair those that are not. Compassion and interdependence lead to action, to having right relationships. And they are the basis for loving kindness. So the Buddhist perspective and the UU perspective are very similar. So how does loving kindness differ from compassion in Buddhism? I'm not sure you can separate them any more than you can separate our values. But if I were to try, I would relate Buddhist loving kindness more to the love that is at the center of our values. Buddhists see loving kindness as a mental state, and in that mental state, we wish for the happiness, safety, and well-being of all of the world. The Lion's Roar magazine has a great website, Buddhism from A to Z. In explaining loving kindness, they describe it as a boundless and unconditional love. It is extended to all beings without judgment. Kindness moves us out of the center and puts us on the same level with others. It is a mental stance that we must practice and cultivate. Now, the Buddhists cultivate this mental stance through various forms of meditation. There is a kindness meditation that I learned, and I would like to briefly describe it. Picture a lake or a pond, and you're sitting on one side of that pond. And on the other side is the Buddha or the Christ, or as one of my friends who follows earthbound religions has a tree, another one has their grandfather. So you're on one side, and on the other is this figure of kindness. And from that figure comes golden rays that just bathe you and just are giving you everything you need for your well-being, your safety, and your happiness. You are bathed in loving kindness. Then bring into those pictures those that you love. Have them sit next to you. Have them be bathed in the golden rays. So there you are with your loved ones. Then this gets a little harder. Bring in those you don't like. Have them sit around the lake and also be bathed in those rays of loving kindness. And then bring in those that are extremely problematic for you. Those that you kind of wish you would never have to see or deal with. Bring them in and see them bathed in loving kindness around the circle of the pond. Yourself, those you love, those you do not like, and even those you do not want around are all there being bathed in loving kindness. So this meditation is one way to create a mental state of kindness. Bathed in golden rays together, we stop seeing others as enemies. So how does all this relate to the words in our covenant? How does this relate to being kinder to each other than we need to be? What I think this deep dive into kindness taught me is that kindness does not mean we need to be victims or enablers. We do not need to ignore our own well-being and our own inherent dignity and worthiness. On the Kindness Grow website, this is put very practically. It says, Kindness does not mean we have to give people what they want. It does not mean we become enablers. It does not mean, and this is my rendition of this, that I give my coat away and I freeze and I die to promote the well-being of others. That is not what kindness means. Rather, kindness means that we want all beings to be safe and to be happy. It is directing my attention and concern toward the happiness of others. It means that the happiness and well-being of others actually matters to us. Based on this, we act and we speak differently. But another important point is that we don't want anything back from those to whom we extend our kindness. Rather, we are not only kind, but we are kinder than we need to be to ensure the well-being of others. Yet, still having my psychologist hat on, I should explain that. My former career was as a psychologist. I had to look this up from a psychological point of view. I just had to. So I found a wonderful article, it's rather old, in Psychology Today by Dr. Tara Brach. She explained that when we are in a state of well-being, we have a chemical, oxytocin. Now, don't mix this up with Oxycontin. Oxytocin is different, okay? Now, that chemical enables us to connect to others. It enables us to be kind. So what kind of happens is when we're kind and we connect to others, that chemical rises and we end up wanting to be kinder more. So it's kind of a self-reinforcing existence of kindness. Now, she points out that if we acted in kindness toward each other, we would move towards social justice and taking care of our environment. Does that sound familiar? Look at our values. Now, here's the strange thing. If we move away from kindness toward others and we cause divisions, then our oxytocin levels drop and another part of our brain takes over and we enter into a state of fear and anger. It is no wonder that the Buddhists say that loving kindness is an antidote to fear and anger. In other words, in being concerned about another's happiness and well-being, ironically, we're promoting our own happiness and well-being. We are in a happier psychological state. One of my friends decided that her purpose in life is to be kind. So she declares it's really very simple and says it cost her nothing. She makes sure that every encounter she has with someone is one of kindness by showing real interest in them. She shows the same interest to the clerk in the store as she does to her close friends. I asked what she does when she meets someone who has an opinion that is completely different from hers. For instance, politically, let's say. She says she listens, and then she tells them that, well, she does not quite see it from their point of view. She thanks them and tells them she will think about it. So she hasn't agreed, she hasn't sacrificed her own worth and dignity, but she has left the door open for a connection. I think her example shows what the Buddhists are talking about when they describe kindness as a mental state. It is a state that my friend has decided to have, and from that flows how she speaks and acts toward others. So now, after taking this deep dive into kindness, I see the words in our covenant differently. I see them as an invitation to take a road less traveled. Now, before you Robert Frost lovers get all upset and say this isn't what his poem means, I know it doesn't, but I'm taking poetic license with this poem. So. There's two roads. One road is that familiar road in our society. It is the easy road of niceness, of keeping everything smooth and polite. The other road is one of being kinder than we need to be, and that may even involve setting boundaries. It demands more of us because we really care about the being and the happiness, well-being, and the happiness of the other person. It is centering ourselves in loving kindness. I contend that accepting this invitation to be kinder than we need to be makes all the difference. As we have seen from a psychological point of view, we are happier when we engage in loving kindness. We do not live in fear and anger, but it also makes all the difference because loving kindness becomes the center of how we live. Being kinder to each other than we have to be, living in loving kindness is the very essence of Unitarian Universalism. So accepting the invitation that you extend to take the road less traveled is actually a living prayer that will change the world. Taking the road less traveled will make all the difference in the world. Amen, and so blessed may we be. Please rise, if you are willing and able, and join us in singing hymn number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. May we all be filled with loving kindness and may we keep seeking love somewhere. As we open our service with a chalice lighting, we close our service with a chalice extinguishing. As Karen extinguishes our chalice, please let us say together the words in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Before you leave, this was found in the aisle if someone's lost this bracelet. I have it.